Saint-Laurent scores the goal with a couple minutes left. It wasn't a lack of trying. They had over 20 shots, Saint-Laurent, tonight. They didn't sit there and park the bus with 10 men, which they could have. They could have tried to keep it more respectable. They wanted to play some football. It kind of sounds counterintuitive or patronizing to call them brave, but they were playing brave on the night. And look, as long as we have two legs in this competition, remember, Saint-Laurent got past the professional side.
Yes.
And Halifax Wanderers to get to this point. So there's a big gap in terms of the highest, payroll in Major League Soccer to a semi-professional side, playing out of Montreal, just finding their way still in the very early stages of their maturation. But there's a lot to be proud of, but there's a lot to look at and say, can things play out maybe a little bit better?
Who do the two legs favor? They favor the team with more money, more depth, more athleticism, right? The bigger budget. Look at CF Saint-Laurent. I think it was brave, even though you take the 8-1. But just for them to play, Wheels and I were even speaking, and I'm sure you could agree to this as well, Andy, is that there are moments in the match after you go down to 10 men, maybe that's the time to change things up a little bit. Look at each other and say, hey, maybe we should just survive this as opposed to try to go and still play our free-flowing style. But I look at just the context of CF Saint-Laurent. There's so much to be proud of. The fact that they're at BMO, and I don't even look at the score, but the fact that they got there, they went to Halifax Wanderers, they went to their ground and were the better side on the day. So they deserve this moment, even though it's bittersweet and obviously you're getting that loss. They have that goal to celebrate.
But I'm thrilled that they did score that goal. That matters. The first 45 minutes they played in Montreal, it was goalless at that time. They were right in that tie. So there were some really good moments. You hate to hear it, a big learning opportunity. But, TFC moves on with ease, convincingly so.
And it's a reminder, the preliminary round was a one-and-done game. Now that we entered the quarterfinals, yes, a home and away, which in many ways you can understand why, Canada Soccer has done this, because with the exception of Toronto FC, who started in the preliminary round, Vancouver Whitecaps, CF Montreal, they entered in the quarterfinal stage, so it's a chance to give a CPL side, in this case, because of what CS Saint-Laurent was able to do in defeating Halifax, it gave a semi-pro side a chance to host an MLS team. And we see how that matters. In fact, in leg one between these two sides, we talked about John Herdman bringing on Federico Bernardeschi. Even if you're a CS Saint-Laurent fan and Berno's got the killer left foot, that's such a treat that you have TFC in your stadium and now he's out there as well playing. And you see the traveling fans, friends, family.
It's awesome.
This whole experience right now. But I guess if there's one thing as well that I observed, and I'm curious to know your opinion on it, is when everything else, when it comes to a gap, sure, skill, there's a gap, money, there's a gap, facilities, there's a gap. But sometimes, too, the emotion that CS Saint-Laurent has gone through in the last 2.5 weeks, starting their league, being a team that beats Halifax, now goes on, plays an MLS side, do they just perhaps have like a emotionally exhausted a little bit here with everything that's been going on? Talk of perhaps being a CPL team in the near future.
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to say burnt out, but I think there's just a lot of emotions like you just addressed.
Because you could only stay high for so long.
Right, and look, I think for 90 minutes to be organized and to be disciplined, you saw it when they went to Halifax, that's attainable. To do that home and then away against the MLS side, I think that's a tall order. For me, I love watching matches. I love breaking it down with you guys. But is that quality of football, seeing a home and away leg in the quarterfinal? I'm not so sure. You're going to get more scores like this. Does that really represent the story for CS Saint-Laurent?
Yeah, maybe.
11-1?
I will say this. It happened between two Canadian Premier League sides in the first round as well. So these things happen. I think the sending off played a large role in that. But just in that clip, going over to see their Saint-Laurent players going over to see their friends in the stands. Like, look, not every player who's playing semi-professional is going to make it to play professional. This is a dream come true. This would be something that when I play, I would have loved to have that experience. You played in BC plays against Vancouver Whitecaps. These are special moments that they will remember forever. So some context, like they lose here, they scored a goal, they get to say, I played at BMO Field against Toronto FC. And a lot of players out there, because of the lack of opportunity in this country in the past, and we're still building opportunity right now, it's still a pipe dream for a lot of these players to realize that. So the fact that more and more of these opportunities are being afforded to young players, that means a lot. And eventually over time, things will level out to a certain degree.
Sure, we're talking about 6 years now, right, that we started to see the expansion of the Canadian Championship with the addition of CPL sides and then more League One sides. Grand scheme of life. It's just babies right now in this tournament. But to your point,
Premier League sides are going to be in this tournament.
just for 6 years. Let's take a look at their goal. This was Rickson Aristide who gets the goal for them. At this point, I mean, the game is out of reach. This is not about the results of the game. It's not about trying to make it close. It's not about trying to move on. It's about scoring against an MLS side.
Turn.
Like that turn right there. He's already celebrating the goal already. Tuleyan Regis was, his arms are up for his teammate already. Luca Gavrin was honestly, Saint-Laurent, well, I'm thrilled for them, but they could have had 3 or 4 in this game. Gavrin made a couple big saves. They went off the post twice in this game as well. And that's, look at the smile, there's an appreciation for what this means. So I love that. A special moment right there for sure.
Absolutely. Look, it brings chills because they've been waiting for that, right? Even the first leg in Montreal, you thought there was something in there. But look, thinking to maybe play the square, he said, nah, this is my moment to finally get that goal. No, but they were knocking on the door all day. And it's just, that's the silver lining right there, just to get that victory. To get that goal.
There were players playing, with 10 minutes. They were just out on their feet. They couldn't run anymore. They were basically playing 4 or 5 at the back. The rest were just up in attack, and there was this massive gap. So the running numbers are through the roof on this one. So for all that work to finally score, I mean, that matters.
Look, watching him when they played Halifax Wanderers, I thought he was exceptional. But even tonight, you could see he didn't have gas towards the end. But Quemi, he's a CPL player. He is a baller. He is a guy that a CPL team should be looking at to pop up right now.
Well, a player who is making a great case here to be the Golden Boot winner of the Canadian Championship, our Gatorade performer of the match, is DeAndre Kerr, picking up 4 goals here tonight. DeAndre, congratulations on the goals in Leg 1, Leg 2. Obviously now moving on to the semifinals. How are you feeling right now? What kind of form are you in, and being able to show your coach that you have the ability to put this ball in the back of the net?
Thank you. Of course, I'm very happy. We set a target to break our goal scoring record in the game today, and we did that. I'm very happy I was able to contribute a lot to that. So, yeah, very happy.
Not just that, DeAndre, you are now a record holder in Canadian Championship history. No player had scored more than 4 goals in a campaign in one year's tournament. You now have 5 already, getting the better of players like Ignacio Piatti in the meantime. I mean, that's a big number, and you still have more games to come. Have you ever played a game like that where you scored 4 or 5 or 6 goals a game, even growing up as a kid? Or is this that much of a special night for you?
4 goals! I love that from you!
Oh, well, there's the answer.
Yeah, thank you. I can't remember the last time I've scored 4 goals, so it's obviously a great feeling, and I'm very happy that I was able to get that. Yeah.
DeAndre, things seem to slow down for you right before you strike, and good strikers always say that's what happens. I would never know. I'm a defender. Everything seems very rushed when I'm about to get in a goal-scoring opportunity. But just tell us maybe some insight to an area you feel that you need to work on or you want to get better at this season going into, obviously, CAN Champs, but in their MLS season as well.
Just staying as composed as I can in the box, and when I get the opportunity, not getting too excited. I put in a lot of work in training and off season, just left foot, right foot finishing. So the only thing I have to do when the opportunity comes is just keep my composure and just remember what I practice, the techniques I practice, and just executing. So I tried to do that, and it worked out today.
Well, it's definitely worked out for sure in this quarterfinal, and you'll find out next week who your opponent will be in the semifinals. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your week, DeAndre. Congratulations.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. See you.
DeAndre Kerr with those 4 goals. Why don't we take a look at them? He opened things up in this game with a hat trick, and then, of course, getting a 4th goal in that second half. But it was really the DeAndre Kerr with CS Saint-Laurent taking chances. But it really was the DeAndre Kerr show. DeAndre Kerr and Lucas Gavrin. Let's Gavrin in there. I want to give the goalkeeper some love because he had to make some big stops.
A couple Canadians, Jaquil Marcheretti, back-to-back assists. Good movement by DeAndre Kerr. A reminder, he was their joint leading scorer last season with 5. And he was a reliable outlet at times where you'd look around saying, well, who's going to put the ball in the back of the net? A player who played at Syracuse University, when we talk about player pathways and still at a young age, continues to make an impression. I just don't know if he's an out-and-out number 9, Jordan, or he's better to maybe play as a secondary striker. But certainly he's got some quality in terms of his finish, absolutely.
He does. The Ajax-born striker, he is dangerous. He has something about him, Wheels. I know what you're saying. It's like you can maybe play him as like a false 9, maybe just someone off the striker, even as a winger. But look at this. This for me is something that he's that no-touch turn, just knowing where the player is, allowed to roll. He has that pace. He has that size. He's one of those guys that's growing into his role and growing into his body almost, right? He's still so young. If he can put those pieces together, I think he'll be a top finisher.
And remember, like over the last 2 weeks, Toronto FC have said goodbye to Ayo Akinola and Jordan Perruzza, 2 players who was competing for minutes. I mean, they both had their own stories that need to be rewritten, whatever that next chapter is going to be. But Kerr has outlasted them. You know, I know he's well liked at the club. You can tell he's a very gracious young man as well, and very polite and humble. And I think that can take him a long way. It's just in what role, in what area is he going to be the most effective? Right now, he's the number 2 behind Prince Owusu.
Yeah.
But in MLS, bigger, tougher, stronger defenders, can he play that number 9 role, out-and-out number 9 role on a regular basis?
I think for him, watching him closely is sometimes it's funny talking about, especially with this generation of kids, be a bit nasty. Like seeing him be a bit nastier. And I don't mean coming late in tackles, just being a bit raw. When he comes on the last 20 minutes of a game, throw his body about. He's a strong kid. Even the 1-2 times I've bumped up against him on the pitch, he has stature, he has presence. Well, have that little bit of edge about him. I think that will take him far.
I do like I know we sometimes maybe overblow it, but I still think it is worth a mention. I thought it was just very classy, the amount of goals that he was scoring. He also understood the competition. I like the subdued celebration. There was sportsmanship there.
Appreciate
I think that is somebody who's just aware of his surroundings, aware of the situation, and I just think that speaks a ton to his maturity as well as his ability to score on the pitch. Let's take you now to CS Saint-Laurent and their red card. I think there were, a lot of people in agreement. This is a red. This was a reckless play. Coelho is going to have a pretty little mark on that cheek for a while here. And really, this is tough because you're a team who, at this point, is already down a few goals, and now you've just kind of put yourself down by a man. And we're not changing our mind here, right?
No.
When we look at that, that's a straight red.
Yes. Yeah, but look, I understand in a position where you don't see someone, but he could pull out there. Right? And so if your leg is getting raised, you don't have to follow through. The fact that he does, that's what makes it a red card, right? Like
the rule is excessive.
Exactly.
Excessive.
Exactly. So if he doesn't follow through, maybe there's a chance to get a yellow and maybe stay in the game. But usually Rudolph, as much as he's given me a yellow or even a red card in my playing days, he got this one right.
And by the way, Buganmi is a player who is excellent in the first leg and has pedigree, played over the Middle East and North Africa. And just tonight, that sending off, you were just worried that it would get out of hand, kind of like it did, right? Mm-hmm. Once they lost him, it's just there was no coming back.
Like you're looking at CS Saint-Laurent, Mamadou Kane, who scored a goal against Halifax Wanderers and the penalty as well. He's playing center back. Like the team was just all over the place trying to scramble and get things together. And it's hard to really come back from that.
I understand what you're saying, too. When you go down a man, the logical thing is maybe stop the bleeding and play back a little bit. But there's something, I don't know, that just kind of touches my heart that CS Saint-Laurent didn't stop. And then I don't think we would have gotten that goal and that celebration by them if they didn't. But when we start to take a look at the remainder of Toronto FC's 4 goals, you could see how CS Saint-Laurent put themselves out of position a lot, perhaps because they were pushing and then just eventually exhaustion setting in.
No kidding. Like, it's just, look at the numbers of Toronto FC players moving forward. And that's the thing. They could have gone out and just parked the bus for the rest of the game and hoped to contain. Do you have to give a penalty there? I guess it was a tough one for Tabby on the night.
Yeah.
But years from now, Andy, these players are going to be like, remember what Debebo Field and we sat back and we held them to 4 goals? Like, you're not saying that. You're like, we were adventurous. We came out to play. We did our best under incredibly difficult circumstances. That's what you'll remember.
They're going to say we should have scored more.
Yes.
We should have scored more. And there's some truth in that. Obviously, you're going to play a TFC side that is stronger, that have more players that can hurt you. But if they took care of those moments here at Saint-Laurent, they could have had more goals to celebrate tonight.
And we see, like, Dimitru come off late in the game and Prince Owusu comes on. You're like, do they have to bring on Prince Owusu right now? But you look at their bench, they're all established players that were available.
That's all they got.
To Herdman on there. I mean, they could have called up more players from TFC2, I guess. But what if worst case scenario happened in TFC in a red card? You're a manager, you need to play it safe. So some players got minutes. It's going to catch the eye. Oh, Insigne started. Bernadeschi was still playing there late in the game. It's just that.
And I guess the flip side for that as well is we talk about Brunami in the first leg going and getting Berna's shirt right away.
Yeah.
Then Insigne, they had everyone. They had Prince Owusu's jersey. Everyone's getting a jersey because all their big dogs were around tonight.
John Herdman played this right. I mean, they were in the driver's seat heading into this game. He got the rotation right. He rested certain players he needed to rest. We discussed before that Bernadeschi, we know, is going to miss this weekend in MLS because of yellow card accumulation. You get Bernadeschi in there, get Insigne, who's recently back from injury, some minutes. So you could see how John Herdman really rotated his squad perfectly here. And now we take a look at record wins. So Toronto FC now setting the record for most goals scored in a CAN Champ match. But they do tie Atletico Ottawa when it comes to the margin of goals in a win because they just May 1st defeated Valor 7-0. Then you got to go back, right? 2021, York United.
I played in this game.
You played in that game.
I scored in that game.
5-0. You contributed to that. That's why you are on the board.
Thank you, Andy.
2013, CF Montreal 6-0 over Toronto. And then the earliest mark was set in 2009. Toronto FC 6-1. At that time, those were the most goals scored, biggest margin of victory. Wow. And now Toronto sets the record again in 2024. Look at this. I just love how much fun they're having. I love the looks on their faces. And, we want to see at some point, score lines, especially with your semi-pro, your CPL teams matter against MLS sides. But right now, that too is what it's all about.
Toyota's electrified vehicles are for everyone. Every chauffeur, snack connoisseur, every scenery soaker, practical joker, every road tripper, toe dipper, every 9-to-5er, every long driver. Starting over 20 years ago with the Prius, we now have the largest lineup of electrified vehicles in Canada because this journey belongs to everyone.
Do we really have any choice at all?
Everyone has a choice, and every choice has a consequence.
Which do you choose?
Life's full of tough choices, isn't it?
How do you choose?
From the edge of your seat or up on your feet, let them hear you cheer.
For all you trivia fans out there, a couple more records. 8 goals scored by Toronto FC here tonight. That's the most they've also scored in club history in a single match. And DeAndre Kerr becomes the first player in TFC history to put in a 4-goal performance as you take a look at the full-time stats. And again, give Gavron, goalkeeper for Toronto FC.
For Saint-Laurent.
Come on, guys.
You got to give him credit. He was busy here tonight. See Saint-Laurent, the word of the night, was fearless, and that's exactly what they were. Here's their head coach.
Toronto came out with a point to prove because they want to show their dominance, and after the first 2 goals, they went to take the ball out of the net to go back in the middle. So they were very much here to play, which is the first thing I think is a sign of big respect toward our players. And then, of course, when we got the red card, it complicated our life in the first half. But we had several objectives in mind. Of course, the tie was done pretty early in the game, and even winning the game was out of question. But then we knew we wanted to score a goal to be the first semi-pro team to score against an MLS team. And thank goodness we did that at the end. It was honestly a lot of almosts. And the fact, ultimately, that our guys showed huge courage playing 10 players against 11 against an MLS team for 50, 55 minutes, kept running, kept fighting, kept playing, kept going forward. Honestly, I'm very proud of them. Like, it's an incredible amount of effort and heart and pride that these guys have to show this. And even statistically, I believe we had 22 shots, and we had more shots than they did, even though their chances were obviously very high quality and their players are quality. So, like, there's a tremendous amount of positives to take out of this, and of course a huge amount of lessons as well. But that's why we're here, and hopefully this will take us to a new level and we'll come back stronger.
What did you think of the red card decision?
I mean, I had to watch it again to be sure. In the moment, I'm like 50-50. I do understand why it was given. I also am not sure if, given the way the game was being played, it was necessary. But I have to watch it again to be fully sure. Ultimately, it's a tough job for the ref in a split second to see that, so I can't really have any complaints on that end.
There was a moment when you guys were 2-0 down, goalkeeper needed some treatment, and you brought the guys over as a group. And I thought you guys grew into the game from that point. What was the message to the group? What was working?
The first message was let go of your fear, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're still playing in BMO Field for the first time in your life when you're used to playing in the backyard of colleges. So it was first let that go, which is tough. You know, they're trying to. And the second thing, we just completely switched around our tactical press, and we said we're going to take some risks, try to catch them higher. We leave the opposite side open. And I felt that we caught them several times after that and gave us some chances. So a little bit of a surprise, a little bit of an aggression and a risk. And I felt that we had a couple of chances to take one back. And unfortunately, we hit the post again, missed a couple good chances, a couple bad first touches. And, you know, the rest is history, right?
You mentioned the goal at the end there. Just wondering how special a moment was that for the club, and also to see the home fans even clap for that one. How special was that for your team and League One Canada?
Well, I didn't know the home fans clap, so that adds to the beauty of it. But listen, it was huge. Like, we all celebrated the goal. And on one hand, you don't want to look like a loser celebrating when it's 8-1. But on the other hand, honestly, there's so much that goes into that goal, because it's 90 minutes of pushing yourself to the limit. And we kept pushing and pushing and pushing and never let up. We kept playing, we kept attacking, we kept running, we kept going. And even though we hit the post, you could have just said it's over. But we really dug very deep to deserve that goal. So there's a hell of a lot that goes into the goal, to use the expression. And ultimately, for our club, for our level, it's a first. It means that there's other firsts that are possible. It's the first time a semi-pro team scored against an MLS team. And I'm pretty sure it's the first time a semi-pro team outshoots an MLS team, right? So it's just a question of going further each time. You know, we beat a CPL team. We contended with an MLS team for one half last game. We scored a goal today. And then it's just what's next. So for a first-time overall experience, I mean, it meant a lot. And hopefully it'll give other League One teams across the country just a visual example of it can be done. The same way TSS Rovers last year showed us there's a win. We wanted to show them that there's more and more and more. So it meant a lot.
All around, wonderfully said by Coach Razzaghi, head coach of CS Saint-Laurent. Well, next week, the quarterfinals will conclude leg 2 between Pacific and Atletico. And at halftime, we will have the semifinal draw live right here in studio. Remember, it gets reseeded for the semifinal.
The draw master coming into studio?
The rumor is the draw master will be here in our One Soccer studio. A big 8-1 victory for Toronto FC. They're going to have to wait until next week to find out who they're going to play in the semifinal. That's where they're headed after this victory in the quarterfinals.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair as she scores at her 5th World Cup. Alfonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
We're not done, Canada. We have another quarterfinal leg 2 coming up tonight. It's the Vancouver Whitecaps Cavalry FC. We'll get you primed for that game at 10 p.m. ET. Vancouver taking the 2-1 lead into leg 2. Vancouver looking for the 3-peat, by the way. As we welcome you back inside our One Soccer studio, you continue to watch Matchday Live. Andy Wheels Jordo with you. A bit of a sweet moment after this match here tonight. Toronto FC defeating League One Quebec side, semi-pro side, 8-1. Berna decides to give his kit to Jan Regis, and then he goes, hey, wait, are you going to give me yours? What's going on here? But I think there's an understanding that CS Saint-Laurent, they just have the one kit.
I think that if you, well, I know this from my days at York United. If I gave my jersey away, I had to pay for that. That was like $60.
Gotcha.
That Papa didn't really have, you know? The money's not really running like that all the time. But look at this Berna moment. Says, I want yours. You love to see it, right? It just talks about Berna can get a shirt. He can take off his shirt. He can throw it. He's going to get another one. And Jan Regis is like, I don't know if I should give you this one, but send him one. Send it to him.
First off, that's fantastic camera work by our team here at One Soccer for catching that. And you know what's going to happen now? Saint Laurent's going to go out of their way to send that jersey to Federico Bernardeschi. They're going to take care of it now. That's brilliant. That's honestly, I love that Berna did that because, you know, this is camaraderie. This is what the sport's all about. And that shows to me that he gets it, what's going on and what this is all about. That was 100% genuine. I love seeing like that. And no doubt Saint Laurent's going to be sending Federico Bernardeschi that kit. That would be nice. Memory. That is so.
It's just so Italian.
That's awesome.
Hey.
Give me, I want one.
Hey, I got to take that one too. But we talked about him in the pregame show. This really is a different Bernardeschi. Really feels
he's having fun.
He's having fun. It's not just what he's doing on the pitch, which is pretty obvious. All you got to do is look at the stats. It is just a completely different personality. You really feel like this was the player Toronto FC originally signed.
We talk about it all the time, right? When you feel supported, when you feel loved, especially for attacking players, that's when their best really rise to the top.
He is running hard, working his socks off.
We're going to take just a short break here. Well, these guys are. They're the ones who need the break. I could keep going. I just want to put that out there. But we're just going to take a 30-minute break. Don't look at me like you're all shocked because I'm going to stay in here and I'm going to do some work.
Okay.
You guys need to go and eat something. I don't know. Okay. But we're going to replay Adam Jenkins, Jordan Wilson. You guys looked at some of the top, by the way, games in the CPL as they recently celebrated 500 matches.
500.
500. So that's what you're going to enjoy at home, and then we'll see you in 30 minutes. But just know I'm not leaving the studio. It's these guys who need the break.
Live.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair as she scores at her 5th World Cup. Alfonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
How do you go from the best to the ultimate without breaking the bank? You choose the big, bold, ultimate